What are you sick of trying to explain to people? Just because I said it's true doesn't mean I like that it's true. I'm a historian, and when I point out misconceptions people have, or just in general point out some of the darker truths of things people hold dear like a religion's past or our nation's past. I once commented that Jesus was crucified for causing political dissonance. He was seen as a threat to the government, and his followers were seen as a mob that could cause trouble. I am Christian, born and raised, and I believe in God. I was unfriended by a person who felt my statement about Jesus was anti-Christian. From a historical standpoint, it's the truth as far as anyone can tell from ancient writings. That I do not speak to my mother or any family. It doesn't matter that she is my mother, she is a nasty person, and sadly, the rest of my family is too. When people grow up in a nurturing and loving household, they assume all the people around them grew up in the same conditions. In these people's eyes, everything a mother does, she does for love. They're oblivious how nasty and abusive some people can be with their own kin. My family is somehow decent, but I'm aware that some mothers are straight up human garbage. I really wish that more people understood that mothers can be terrible people just like anyone else. I went no contact with my entire family almost 3 years ago, and it was the best decision I could have made for myself. I grieved and I learned to move forward with their absence, the same way you would with a death. Sadly, especially with dating, having no contact with family is seen by some as a red flag. It's pretty crappy to try to navigate these days. You don't have to understand someone's hobby to just accept that they enjoy it. As long as it's not hurting anyone, let them have fun. I work for a credit card company, and the fact that I have to explain to people who have credit cards and have had credit cards for over 10 years how interest works is terrifying. The other thing is telling people that I don't drink. People seem to have a hard time understanding that some people just don't drink and that some people have alcohol problems, and don't want to go into a long explanation as to why they don't. A couple days ago, someone was asking why their loan balance barely went down after 2 years of on-time payments. And someone had to explain that the $200 minimum payment they were making was $160 interest and $40 principal. Seriously, people should have to take a class before getting a credit card. That being depressed isn't necessarily about lying in bed all day. I also hate the people who think that being depressed means being sad all the time. They think that 'cause I occasionally laugh, I don't have depression. Something else that isn't believed is that there is a difference between sadness and depression. If your dog dies, that's sad. If you can't move enough to get out of bed, or if nothing ever makes you happy, for your entire existence, that's depression. If you feel nothing for the majority of the day but have 30 minutes where you're happy, you're still depressed. Awareness does not mean acceptance. It never has and it never will. I'm sorry, what does this mean exactly? There's this very prevalent attitude that knowing or understanding something is the same as agreeing with it or approving of it, which can make it very hard to have a reasoned discussion about anything, much less attempt to correct a problem. I just don't get why anyone would insert bad thing here, is a common method of virtue signaling without any actual conviction to that virtue. Like you're just so good that you can't imagine lowering yourself to even understanding a bad thing, even if just to condemn it. Uncontroversial example, stealing. Stealing is not a good thing to do. We all know that. Let's say there's an article in the newspaper. An impoverished woman was caught stealing money from an unlocked car to buy her hungry child something to eat. The car belonged to a disabled veteran who needed the money to pay rent. While it's right to say that stealing is wrong, breaking into cars is wrong, and that victimizing disabled veterans is wrong, it's not exactly productive to say, I just don't understand how anyone could steal from a poor disabled veteran. How does one become so evil? The reason the person stole is right there. They were desperate. Does that excuse the woman's actions? No. It is not right to steal, and stealing from another citizen can have serious consequences on that person's life. But treating the thief as an incomprehensible monster who was born evil doesn't help anyone. Understanding people often turn to crime out of desperation because their needs are not met is a more productive thought, as it might lead to thoughts like, is the social safety net sufficient? Or, why is this woman unable to find gainful employment? Can that be fixed somehow? That free speech doesn't mean there are no consequences for what you say. It just means that the government can't dole out those consequences. Your friends, family, employer, school, and the public at large have every right to not want to associate with you. Most people forget that other people also have free speech. Like, if I say something horrible, other people are allowed to use their speech to correct me. My go-to rebuttal to people who cry free speech. Freedom of speech applies to everyone, not just whoever speaks first. Read the goddamned error messages. Your computer has been successfully updated. Press OK to restart now or choose to restart later. Help me! There's an error on my screen, what do I do? My IT career in a nutshell. My favorite is, oh, my computer is asking to install updates. Do I hit install or ignore? I just hit ignore till you have 2 or 3 months of updates to do, then it will restart itself while you're in the middle of work, and it will take 2 hours to install said updates. It's okay to let people live their lives even if you don't agree with them. I can't whistle or burp on purpose, and yes, I have in fact tried for hours and hours throughout my life. You think you're suddenly going to be Whistle Teacher of Year and crack the uncrackable code that is my whistle learning disability with just put your lips together and blow. Whistling can't be taught because everybody's mouth has a slightly different shape. Techniques that work for one person aren't necessarily going to work for another. It's just something you have to keep trying at. Keep manipulating your lips, tongue shape and position, and jaw until you accidentally stumble across a breathy whistle-like sound. At that point, you're halfway to learning how to whistle. That I, a woman, don't want children. People either think you're lying or you'll grow out of it. I'm 60. I don't have children because I don't want children. But people still ask, and people still insist. It's not too late to adopt. As if my life isn't complete without accessorizing with a kid. That my tattoos don't have to have a big meaning. I liked them back then and I like them now. Only reason I got them was cause I thought they looked cool. My coworker said he has a tattoo on his inner bottom lip. I asked why. He answered by showing me the tattoo, which says, because I can't argue with that answer. Some health issues are not visible. Chronic fatigue is real. The mask goes over your nose. How to sell things online or in an antique mall. I'm relatively successful selling on Etsy and in person, and it's a hell of a lot of work. People ask me how I do it, and I could talk till I'm blue in the face. And they'll list 10 crappy things which will never sell and complain they never sell anything like it's my fault. Or they ask me how to make it better, and then not do anything I told them to. Funny how these people are always victims. I tried but it didn't work. No, you didn't try. Not even close. I'm just sick of them asking me for advice and then not doing anything I told them. Like, why ask? That working remotely doesn't mean I'm fucking around and watching YouTube all day. I've got a lot of shit to do. Being at home means the work is still hard, but the environment isn't a sad, depressing gray office. You can enjoy a game without winning, and you can win but still not enjoy the game. What are you sick of trying to explain to people? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.